Hey, Security Token Market. I'm back again with a great interview. I'm joined here with Dave Hendricks, co-founder, CEO, Vertalo, and the host of the Digital Assets and Securities Conference. Dave, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, it's great to be here, Kyle. Thank you so much, man.
Man, this has been great. This conference has been amazing. We've had so many fantastic interviewees here, so many great companies. So props to you and your team for putting together a fantastic conference.
Well, thanks to you, thanks to the 20 different sponsors we had, the 200 attendees over 3 days, more than 40 panels and presentations, more than 50 speakers, incredible support from the digital asset securities and also the digital asset community. It was stunning. I'm really excited and happy.
And this is the first conference that you guys have ever thrown, right?
Yeah, man. We've never, I've been to a lot of conferences, and I'd never thrown a conference before this. And so we pulled it off, and I'm very happy about it.
Well, I'd say it was a resounding success. And I want to talk a little bit about Vertalo.
Yeah.
So can you kind of give what's the pitch that you've been telling to some of the clients and some of the people that you've had here at the conference? What's Vertalo do? What's it all about?
Yeah, so the Vertalo mission is to connect and enable the digital asset ecosystem. We serve as glue between different participants in digital asset securities. We're an API-first platform. We designed our platform so that other market participants, broker-dealers, RIAs, issuers, custodians, and ATSs can plug into the Vertalo platform, build businesses, but really move data around seamlessly with the lowest friction possible. And so it was never our mission to tokenize the world. We love the idea of democratizing access to private investment. But what we really want to do is we want to serve as a trustful partner to broker-dealers, RIAs, issuers, and the trading venues that make this whole ecosystem function. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I mean, we're a transfer agent at our core, but it's a lot more than that. Really what it is we're a service, we're a platform that enable other teams to fulfill their mission, to build their business. And it's a cool place to sit in this ecosystem because we get to work with everybody, and that's fun. And you've been in this for years, like we have. And what we all learned is that this takes time,
right?
And it takes relationships. And in any digital asset securities offering, there's going to be 4 or 5 players. There's an issuer, there might be a broker-dealer, there's a transfer agent, there's an ATS, okay? There's a custodian, there could be an RIA. It's amazing the number of participants.
Right.
It's not just like, I'm an issuer, I'm going to issue some tokens, and there you go.
Right.
Okay, that's not that's not the way it works. And so, our role is to facilitate the operation, seamless, lower friction operation of all those parties in concert together to help investors ultimately succeed. And that means secondary liquidity for previously illiquid.
I mean, all that makes a lot of sense, and I think that your mission is fantastic. But I want to just hone in on that term, transfer agent, right? You said you're a transfer agent at your core. So for people that may not know, that's a licensed, transfer agent is an actual thing. So can you talk about exactly what role a transfer agent plays in the process?
So a transfer agent maintains the books and records on behalf of an issuer for the securities that they've issued to investors. What that means is that it's kind of like a cap table. Okay, it's really a ledger of holders. And when someone trades or transfers those shares, either external to the transfer agent or from the transfer agent's platform,
you're the one that updates
the transfer
books.
agent is the system of record for who owned and who owns a security.
Do you also manage post-issuance services like dividends or other kinds of features like that?
We can. We have APIs, so sometimes an issuer might be working with an escrow agent or a custodian or a fund admin that might handle that for them. They might do it themselves. And so the thing about us is that we're not rigid as to whether we have to do it or somebody else has to do it. Vertalo is a B2B SaaS data management system. We have APIs. The players here can hit those APIs, and if one of the purposes of hitting those APIs is to get data to establish how long someone owned a share, a digital asset security, and how much they should be paid via dividend, then we can facilitate either directly through our system or through one of the issuers, other service providers.
I think it makes a lot of sense because I for a long time I felt that the actual issuance of security tokens is a kind of a commoditized business in a lot of ways.
It is.
Because it's not something that's relatively replicable.
Yeah.
So focusing on the tech and the integrations, I think is certainly something that's interesting from a competitive landscape perspective. But from a digitized cap table perspective, clearly there are many different industries where that could be very relevant. Yep. Where are you seeing the most interest and adoption in the platform that you've built so far?
So real estate is probably it's definitely our biggest kind of client category, our biggest sector. Real estate's like trillions and trillions of dollars. I don't even know what it is.
And it's so illiquid.
It's so illiquid.
Use case.
Buying and selling interests in properties is a very, very painful process. It's a lot easier to get your money into something than it is to get your money
Everyone
out.
will take your money, right?
Yeah, and so we do have a particular focus on real estate, but that's in response to market demand. And it's low-hanging fruit because it's the same pretty much everywhere. People anywhere in the world, and so it's always been that people own real estate or partial share, in a property, and maybe for whatever reason they want to sell that and go invest in something else, or they need the cash for something. Until now, selling your interest in any private asset, and especially real estate, could take weeks, if not months, and almost always you're selling at a discount because because the people that are buying it from you also know that when they want to sell it, they're going to sell it at a discount.
Right. So they're factoring that in.
Yeah, they're factoring that in because it's just not easy to redeem these things. So one of the best applications of digital asset securities is in making it easier to redeem, to have always-on trading, to transfer to another owner. And so that's one of the things that our technology does. And there are some other industries that are super interesting. And this week we released a research report on direct listings on ATSs.
Yeah, this has been a common theme. This is a fascinating topic.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating topic. So we had a team that's been working in our offices here in Austin, and we reached out to 11,000 VCs, independent board members, and the executives and founders of their portfolio companies. We did this with Qualtrics. It was a structured research report. It was a questionnaire that took about 15 minutes, asked a lot of impolite questions about people's businesses. And we got some really, really interesting data back from that. One, a lot of VCs, a lot of board members, a lot of founders and executives did not know that you could actually take your private venture-funded company and digitize and tokenize it and sell it on an ATS. Most folks have thought that there are two ways that you can get liquidity in a venture-funded company: M&A or IPO. But the chances that you're going to IPO are very low. I mean, there's 100 IPOs. This year a couple more because of SPACs. But that's
which are an offshoot of the fact there's no liquidity, so they had to start SPACing.
Yeah, so it starts SPACing. And every year, you've got another 5,000 companies getting created. And what we found is that there's this gulch of death that companies get into.
Yeah.
Below, say, 100 million in market cap, your last round of funding, there are quite a few M&A opportunities. You're basically getting bought, though. You're not really selling.
Right.
And a lot of times those outcomes are not as good. They're like, they buy you for the amount of money that you raised, and then, who knows what happens to your team. Do your employees make any money from their options? So M&A sometimes is really amazing, and sometimes it doesn't work out. The other side of that historically has been IPO, and everyone's like, oh, I'm going to unicorn, and then I'm going to IPO. Well, that's a great outcome for a lot of companies, but unless you're at least $1 billion in market cap, your IPO is out of reach.
Yeah, that death zone of like 400 to 700 million.
And once you stop growing more than 40% a year, there's this thing called power law, which is, VCs like to look for 40%, annual growth as something, it's kind of a rule of thumb. And if your business stops growing that fast and you kind of get unexciting, they're going to move on to something else, and which means that your valuation is not going to go up from another round of funding. It means you might lose some of your people, and it means you're not on your way to being a unicorn. So in that gulch of death between, say, 100 million and 1 billion, there are right now 15,000 companies in the United States, okay, that who raised money starting from 2006. And they're just stuck there. And those companies now have another path besides M&A and IPO, and that is a direct listing on an ATS like T0, like Texture Capital, like Oasis Pro Markets, like Templum, like Simbridge, like Planet Wealth, like Merge, and I think maybe soon INX. So the number of secondary venues for these private equity, these VC-funded private equities is growing.
Yeah, we total an estimated 30 internationally that are going to be going live in the next 12 months.
Yeah, it's incredible.
We already tracked 12 on STO Market, so there's definitely a lot coming out. You make a lot of sense there. The question I have is very similarly related, and that is, with your platform, you're API focused, you're tech focused, and a lot of this stuff is really optimizing antiquated financial processes.
Yep.
How does this actually change for the end user? For the average person that's watching this, that may buy or sell some things, what changes for them? What's the so what about all that we're doing here?
Well, for a seller of private, like say VC-funded private equities, it means a ready market, okay, if those shares have been listed for trade. For the buyer, it means that you can buy interest in private companies, whether that's VC-funded companies or real estate interests, much more easily. You can discover them more easily. You can buy them, and then if you don't like the performance or you need to do something else with the cash, you can sell them, and you can do it electronically in far shorter time. Today, the process of buying and selling, stock in a VC-funded company, that can take 3-4 weeks, and it's also really hard to find a buyer if you're a seller. I mean, you go up to a bulletin board and and you're taking a haircut on it, and so for investors, we're used to being able to buy crypto on our phone. You can go to Robinhood, you can buy equities on your phone. There's public equities. You can while in between while the light is red, you can ape into some Dogecoin on Robinhood, right? It's like a month to ape in to a VC-funded stock. Okay,
You lose that impulse, all the momentum's gone.
Yeah, I mean, and people get cold feet. So, imagine you found a buyer for your shares. Well, something happens, in this long process, they just get cold feet, and then there you go. You got to start over again. So, ready markets.
Ready markets. That's fantastic. So all powered by Vertalo and all of the great partners that have been here at the event, and many of those that were not able to attend. We're all in this together. That collaborative approach, that global interoperability, I totally agree, is the biggest and most important part of what we're building today.
It is.
Dave, props to you and your team for putting together it's an amazing conference. Thank you for having us and our team. Shout out to Nick behind the camera that has done so much throughout this entire event. Jonah's done amazing as well, doing some interviews.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to get in touch with you and hear more about what you guys are building at Vertalo, where would they do that?
Yeah, so the easiest way to make sure that no one misses it is info@vertalo.com. That's a great way for some general information. But you can always find me on the internet. I'm Dave Hendricks, okay? So DAVHENDRICKS @ wherever. So.
Cool, great. Well, Dave,
thanks a lot,
thanks
Carl.
for everything.
That was great.